Hello and welcome to another episode of Totally Detailed Podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Adam Blackwell from AR Detailing, joined my co-host Richard from the Leather Repair Company. Want to say hi, Richard?
Yeah, hi, good evening, everybody. Hi, Maz. Hi, Rog. How you doing?
Hello, good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
It's okay. You're welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're very lucky to have these two guests on tonight. Both Maz and Rodger are the owners of Garage Therapy, and they're one of their product launch days today. So fantastic to have them on that actual day, so we can talk a little bit about that product. But mainly, we want to talk about how we get into the industry as a whole, because I know Maz has got some really good views on. I don't want to spoil it until we get to that point, but as soon as I picked up on one of your comments the other day about the value in the industry, which I definitely want to go into with you, Maz. But one thing we always start these podcasts off on, just so we can understand a little bit more about each guest, is how did you get into the industry? So if you want to take it in turns.
Maz, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start. So back in 2005, 2006, it was around about the time where I've got a bit of money behind me, just started out in my career. And, as you do when you're young and you get a bit of money, you want to, purchase a vehicle, a car. So I purchased myself a Seat Leon Mark 1. And after, a couple of weeks of having it, I thought, oh, well, I want to make it, shiny and clean and polish it up. Now, I wasn't a stranger necessarily to machine polishing, because when I was younger, my father bought me from Macro back in the day, one of these rotary buffers, very cheap, simple devices, and I used that on his Mercedes back in the day when I was very young, but I knew I wanted to do something along those lines to polish out some of the scratches, and I started looking into detailing. Now, it was around about the same time that I met Rodger, actually. He had the same car as me, and we met through a local car club, and we were both at the time thinking, okay, how are we going to detail, machine polish these cars? And we couldn't afford to pay a professional. So me being a nerd, I started looking into machine polishing and started Googling and seeing what was out there, and I guess from there I bought my first machine polisher, and I used my car as the test panel, rightly or wrongly, and I guess the rest is history.
Interesting. And you, Rodger?
My one started a little bit earlier than that. I think from a very young age, I was always into anything with an engine with 4 wheels or 2 wheels. And my grandfather was into it a lot at the time. He really did like his, he had a very cherished Stag that he used to shine as often as he could. So I kind of got that bug from there. But when I got to around about 16, 17, I was, it was a family thing to always be working on a Saturday job, earn your bit of money on the side. And one of those things was to work in a shop that my dad, co-run with another business owner in glazing. And at the time when I was there was a car outside that was basically a bit let down and a bit left to kind of the conditions. And I just thought, well, I'm here. There's not much to do. I'll just give it a clean. And I think that's where it all kind of started from, because it was a real heap. And by the time I finished with it, it actually looks really presentable. And after that, it was a bit of like, a bug, I guess. And I just continued on, and it got to a point where at one point I was working at McDonald's when I was about 17, and people were coming to me on my shift and they were saying, can you clean my car on Sunday? And it's just like, I think I've got a shift. Okay, I can do it. So, and that was just basically, the run of the mill cleaning. But then when I met Maz in 2005, when we bought our Leons, it went to overdrive. Like Maz, the way Maz is, very research based heavily. He wanted to just give me all of that download to me, and to just bounce off of me. And then it was just that from there, we just went on and on to developing more and more skills to bettering ourselves. And unfortunately, I bought the black Leon, and Maz got the grey Leon. So you can imagine how much time we spent on my one, considering. So yeah, but that was where it all started.
Oh, brilliant! So you formed friendship through a car club, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was seeitcupra.net. Back in the day when forums were the thing.
Forums were the thing, yeah.
Yeah, I can remember being a part of all them car club forums, and
Oh yeah.
it was .net. Yeah, as soon as you said .net, it brought back some memories of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously a lot has changed since those days, but it's something great about taking the time to upload your pictures onto the internet to then post them up on a forum post to show what you've done or how you cleaned your car and how you modified it. I think in a way that brought sort of people closer together in a sense, because you had to take a lot of time out of your day to actually write a thread on the forum, as opposed to now where you can go on your phone and within a minute type a very brief message and upload a picture and you're there. You've done it all.
Yeah, my photo bucket was very full by the time I left it in the many years ago. Yeah.
Do you think it's better, you two guys? Do you think it's better to be forum based, or do you think it's better to be as it is now, which is very short and sweet and doesn't really explain the process through on a lot of the threads when they're posting things up? Just, I know that's slightly off topic, but it's just something Maz mentioned, and it's just, I thought, what's your take on that?
Well, it's a little bit like the Twitter conundrum that is now, where you limit people to a certain set of characters, right? Is it 200 characters on Twitter? I'm not a part of Twitter.
Yeah, I can't remember
this
the exact number.
For this reason, but you limit people to 200 characters. So what you get is just raw emotion most of the time, rather than real sort of intellectual thought on what people are typing. And to a certain extent, you get that on all the social media platforms. They're not really designed for long form writing of any kind, whereas forums encourage people to effectively explain themselves. There's a lot more work that goes into us participating correctly on a forum. So I do think they're better in that sense.
Yeah.
But what you lose, I guess, is the speed of access. You know, I guess the barrier to entry is quite high on a forum nowadays versus just quickly signing up on Facebook and away you go. In a sense. So now I'm older, forums I think are better.
I think as well as the years ago, it was many. You would post something on the forum and someone would say you need pictures.
Yes.
And nowadays it's the opposite.
Yep.
It's pictures. You need to describe what you just did. You know, what did you use? How did you use it? When did you use it? You know, how did you apply it? You know, it's kind of gone it's gone on a complete 180 of what it was years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely changed, hasn't it? Certainly, it's whether it will stay that way. I have my doubts personally, but I think forums will eventually come back again. It's just, I think because of the nature of social media, it's a good and a bad place, isn't it? At the end of the day,
it's not just. It's also, sorry, Roger.
I think it's also. I think it will go back somehow to a difference, but it'll be a hybrid. It'll be a bit of a both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's almost like having a hybrid, isn't it? I think that's the way it's going to probably go. Because I think the forum side of things will speed up. I mean, we have our own forum as well, and I mean, we've had it for years, and it's certainly different to what it is now to what it was then. The now version is much faster and easier to access compared to what it was, when we set it back up 2005 originally. So it is like a hybrid. So it's a much faster process. It's on a WordPress, so it's very Google friendly. So it helps enormously compared to like a social media network side of things. So there's a lot, like you say, it's a hybrid version. So it works really well.
So just pulling it back into detail, because we're kind of going off on this IT thing.
I know. I'm tucked in with them, with the IT side.
Have you both? I think I know Maz has. Have you both had a detailing business So before product sales.
So
yeah, I mean, Maz and me both ran one, so.
Yeah,
Oh, brilliant.
so that effectively the story is that once we got ourselves machine polishers and I guess we thought we knew what we were doing. In 2008, we took it upon ourselves to create a website and start effectively a detailing business and turn professional. And after a year or two of working at it, and I guess every car you do when you first start out, you learn. We got quite proficient at detailing, and because I guess the way I am in terms of very research heavy, and we acquired a bunch of knowledge, and our clientele and the types of cars changed dramatically as the years went on, and it got to a point whereby, I'm not sure on the exact date now because it was a long time ago, but I think in 2011 or 2012 we got so busy that it was a choice, because my background is predominantly IT, and Roger's background is structural engineering, and we sat down and we said, right, well, what's the next 10 years going to look like? Are we going to earn the same money doing this as what we are in our careers? And to a certain degree, we made the right choice. We stuck at our careers, and but we always kept the detailing business going, but effectively just wound it down to the customers that we wanted to work with and would fit into our schedule. So it was mainly weekend work. Every weekend we would do a car together, and it remained like that for many years until certainly my career didn't really allow me to machine polish cars. I think that was around 2014 time, 2015. So I sort of retired at that point.
Was it the same name that you got now, Maz? Or is it a different name?
No, so we went under the name of Full Works.
Yeah.
And I tied that into, so around the same time that we started the the detailing business, I was also started up my own IT company. I was a contractor effectively, so I was under effectively dual purpose company, one for invoicing for detailing, the other one invoicing my services in IT.
Yeah, excellent, cool.
So at what point did you guys put your heads together and say, we're going to do a products line?
Rog, do you want to?
It was about 3 years ago, I think, just over 3 years ago. At the present, I had actually, for the first time in my life, I had actually got rid of my car, and I was actually living in central London due to my job being in central London at the time. And at that point, I was starting to show signs of a little bit of madness. And at which point I had to go around to Maz to see him, and we just started talking. And he just said, well, why don't you just get a car? Just get a car. Just get a car. And then I got a car. And then when I got it, I was like, well, it's in not a very good state, is it really? We could do a lot better doing it. And then it was like, well, okay, well, let's just dust off all of our polishers and all that. And then we started looking at things, and we were like, well, we need something to do something with this paint and shampoo, and we just started to think, well, we want something that we can't find. And we're not saying that we're reinventing the wheel, but we just looked at something and just thought, wouldn't it be cool if this did this? And we were just like, well, should we have a go? Should we see if we can try and do something? Which is, I think, why I led to a lot of people when we first came on the scene were like, who are these people? They've just got 3 shampoos. Like, what are they doing? Who are these people? But it was because just like we are in our personalities and our careers, we're driven by research and checking again and checking again. And that's what led us to become what we did with Garage Therapy. We just decided that we needed to create something that we would be happy to use ourselves, and we found out that anything that we were happy with was like outstanding for everybody else. So we thought, well, we should just carry on and see if everything else we can make is the same for everybody else, that they all find it overachieving and not underachieving at all.
When did you think of the name, and where did it come from? Garage Therapy?
I think I can't actually, Maz. Do you know where we came?
It was.
I think it was one late night. We were just sitting there over and over again with different names. The names we came out with were just making us laugh in the end.
Yeah, we're coming up with lots of silly names, and I think we said Garage Therapy is one of the first names, and I just said, look, that's just too childish at the time, you know, that's not us. But the more we went through the silly names or the different permutations, the more we thought, you know what, Garage Therapy probably is quite apt for what we
I think it was
like
your
to
wife,
do.
wasn't it, Maz? It was your wife that came in and told us that was the best one of the lot.
I think what verified it though is once we decided that we were going to start a company to create car care products and have a go at creating something that we wanted. And it wasn't the case of just creating products. You know, you hear this story a lot in the detailing industry from a lot of new companies. Oh, there was nothing out there that was good enough, so I created my own. That wasn't really the case for us. It was more, we were looking for features and characteristics that we could find in the industry, but it wasn't all in one package, and that led us to really want to start the company up. And I'm lucky through my career that I've met some amazing people that worked for really big companies, and I don't want to call him a business coach, because he's a very good friend of mine. But we had a 3-hour meeting with a friend of mine called Ash Alom, and he used to work for Microsoft, and he actually helped design the interface that we're using today in Windows. And we told him our idea, and he loved the name. And you know, within that 3-hour conversation that we had, it was clear that, you know, Garage Therapy was the name that we were gonna use.
Cool name, definitely cool name.
Yeah, it is a good name.
Yeah.
And you know what I like most about it, that you can break it down to GT.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Really like that.
Cars, isn't it? So it's
exactly. Yeah.
perfect for cars. So it's got that double whammy to it. It's got the therapy side of it. You're caring for the car, and it's a GT. So yeah, it's really cool. It works and it goes together really well. And it's the first name, and often the first choice is the best choice, and that's exactly what you've done, and it works really well.
What was, if you don't mind me asking, obviously you don't have to say in case you want to keep it in the bullet belt sort of thing. But was there a runner-up name?
I don't remember. If I'm honest, I really don't remember. Yeah,
no.
It's just all a blur now.
So Roger and I, we argue a lot, and I think we forgot in our joking argument phase, we sort of forgot the names, but they weren't great. Let's put it that way.
Just one question I wanted to ask you about. You obviously you've been friends for quite some time, and business and friendship don't always work. Has there been any kind of ups and downs and fallouts or anything? Obviously, you don't go into the fallouts, but has it always been pretty smooth sailing between yourselves? Because a lot of people start, especially in the detailing business, I started my business with a friend, and we're no longer as a partnership. It's not always, we're good friends still, but it's not always smooth sailing. Have you had any problems between yourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're both stubborn people, and you know, you put two stubborn people in a room, and you're going to get fireworks, I guess.
Oh yeah.
But we're I don't want to put words in Roger's mouth, but we know that we have to discuss and deliberate and argue to see something through to its inevitable conclusion, and move beyond the argument and beyond the discussion. And whether that's whether we're developing something, we're arguing over the test results, over what's possible, what isn't, and we know that we have to have the difficult discussions to move forward.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's the way I kind of I work in my career. It's with structural engineering, everything has to be back checked. It has to be fact checked back again, because someone can make mistakes. It has to be checked. So in a way, me and Maz are both checkers for each other. We keep each other in check, because one could just overreach that they shouldn't do, and the other one could just give that reality check. And I think sometimes that's better than just being on your own and just taking all of the decisions, because you haven't got anyone there to say, do you think this is the right decision? Or is it a bit risky?
Isn't it? Fresh pair of eyes or a fresh pair of ears just to sort of hear or see something. I mean, we get that as well in our business, and it's just having that other person there to say, just think about this. And I mean, sometimes we don't even think about that. And it'll be a third person that will say to me, Richard, don't be dumb. That could happen. And you suddenly think, oh yeah. You don't realize, because you're so transfixed on getting that item or something done, and having that double checking is always really good. And if that works with you guys, that's absolutely brilliant. If that can work together, it's good to have that sort of double check system. Really good.
Yeah, so far so good. Who knows what tomorrow will hold, but
free maybe, you don't know. It's it happens, doesn't it? So, but it's as long as you can pick up the pieces and start back over again when there is a discussion, then that's all that matters, because that just builds that friendship and that bond even further. And if that is achievable every time, then that's good, because then you know what your limits are between each other, don't you? And
well, the great thing is we do think very alike.
Yes.
Very, very alike.
Yeah. That always helps, definitely.
Yeah, it's something that we knew would happen immediately when we started the company, and we agreed early on that should an argument happen, and it's inevitable, that we have to stay focused on the aim.
Yes.
And the aim is mutually beneficial to both of us. So as long as we keep our eye on the prize, then you can move forward.
Yeah.
But what I would say, I guess, to close this off is it's okay to be wrong.
Oh yeah.
Effectively, and say, yep, I got it wrong, and move on. And I think both of us are very good at doing that, or with each other.
Yeah, we do it a lot.
Excellent. Cool.
I mean, one thing I'd like to, sorry, Rich, we'll just cut you off then.
Oh, you're right. Go on, Adam. You're right.
One thing I was going to say was congratulate you on how well your social media is. One thing I absolutely love is the GT Facebook group for the community group.
Yeah.
One thing I really like about it is you're on there answering people's questions. It's not just a group that's run by the members. It's you're actually involved in it. It's great to see that. But how much do you reckon that's had an effect on GT as a brand?
It hasn't.
It hasn't?
No.
Wow.
So it depends on what question you're asking, right? If you're talking about, has social media helped us reach people and sell products and get the name out there? Yes, absolutely. Has the social media changed our roadmap, what we're going to do with the company? No, it hasn't.
But as the group helped, that's what I was kind of.
Yeah. I mean, it's always so. I'll take a step back from what the reason why we started the group was for people to have access to us easily, and in terms of answering questions and things like that, we get contacted via various different channels, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, email, and private messages, etc. But the main reason for the group was to show that there is a community there and that we're part of that community. And one of our core principles in terms of running our business is talking to people and not treating people like their children. And I think that people like that. People like being spoken to like adults, and have proper answers to their questions and take their questions seriously. So that's why we dedicate an enormous amount of time to making sure that if people want to get in contact with us, they can. Now, it's not easy. You know, we've been working almost 24 hours a day for the last 3 years. The first year was starting off the company, developing the products and the roadmap, but when we went live in 2019, we spend all our time ensuring that everyone who wants to speak to us can.
It's a good thing to see from a brand.
Yeah, definitely getting involved with this, with a dedicated group, certainly. So are you sort of doing your sort of like what you were trained to do, or are you just doing GT full time now?
Full time. So, I run it full time.
Yeah.
Rodger is still a structural engineer, but when he's not working on his career, he's working for GT. So
Yeah.
So
You're a busy man.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're always busy, man. Very.
I mean, I guess it's the same with everyone who's in, I guess, our industry, right? Is they're working in a industry that they're passionate about, whether it's motorsport or just cars in general. So it doesn't feel like work. Although it feels like work when you're lugging around chemicals and bottling and boxing and all the non-glamorous side of things.
Yeah, that's the thing I think that is lost in a lot of translation when people just see something from the outside. They see a company that supplies a product, all they see is the product, the finished product, but they will not understand the blisters and the arm aches and the late nights and the black eyes you have when you're bottling at 12 o'clock at midnight.
And machines
What
break
has to happen?
down, everything else. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So what do you believe to be your best product and why?
Probably the
That's like
hardest
choosing
question.
your favourite kid, isn't it?
You all right, Rog?
It's like choosing your favourite kid, isn't it?
You can't love them all equally.
You can't.
No.
There's got to be one. There's got to be a favourite. And what's the reason for it? Is it because it performs totally different to something else, or is it just the way it? I don't know. It's user friendliness, or what is it?
I think me and Maz have both got different answers. I think, but we have one that we have in common. I think Decon is one that we have in common. That is one of our favourite products. It was one of our first products, and it seems to be still today shocking people on how good it is as a product, and its versatility and its ability to be used near enough in all avenues and all ways that you need to clean. But I think an additional one of my favourite is tyre serum, and that's purely because that was something that I came to Maz with when we were getting the next product, and I said, look, I want this. I really feel strong about this. It's like, I think it was on one of the podcasts you spoke about with Richard. I think when you woke up in the middle of the night and you have to write something down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the moment where I was like, I need that. I need a conditioner. I don't want this. I don't want a tire dressing. I want a conditioner. Why can't I not make a conditioner? There must be a way to make a conditioner. And I went mental about it, and then said to Maz, and then Maz was like, here comes the check. I don't think so. I think I was like, no, look, just let's give it some time and see if we can figure something out. And then when we did, like when we first got it and we got it homed in, we were like, okay, now like we've got something here. Like we really have got something. Like I remember the first time Maz applied it on his Porsche, she was like, wow, that really works, doesn't it? was just like, yeah, this is probably one of my favorite of the recent products that we've got released. We've got some more coming, which I think will become new faves, but at the moment, that one definitely is.
Cool. So with the decon side of it, so for those that don't know what it is, what is that and what does it do? Just so those listeners that don't know.
It's a decontamination shampoo. It's a high alkaline based shampoo, which can be used whether it be in a mechanical wash with a sponge mitt in 2-bucket method, or you can use it in a pump sprayer as a pre-wash. It can also be used in a snow foam to allow the dwell time with our other products like iron oxide underneath it. But what it actually was born from a lot of the time was to create something that would deep clean a clear coat, basically. But because if you consider how, say, a ceramic coating, a hard-based ceramic coating, real glass quartz one, it's very similar makeup to actually clear coat. So if you can clear coat, then you can usually clean the hydrophobic properties back into a ceramic coating. So basically, when at the time I had an Audi S4 which had a ceramic coating on it. We used that as our test bed. We got to get a shampoo that brought back the hydrophobic properties back to that coating with basically one wash, with a 2-bucket wash. Like, it came straight back. And that's where it all kind of transformed from. But then on top of that, it was also like, okay, when we come out of, say, winter or any sort of season, it was like, well, usually you've left your car quite alone because it's sub-freezing temperatures. You don't want to clean your car. So you have quite a thick amount of dirt and road grime and road traffic film. You've got it all on there. So if you're thinking about using a wash every season to then reapply a new protection layer, then you need something a little bit more with a bite. And that's where our brief of decon came from. And then we just honed it in from that.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think there's some principles that we wanted to achieve. So from a professional standpoint, we wanted a product that we deemed as a process accelerator. So through its versatility, it can potentially replace other chemicals that a professional would then use to do different tasks on the car. So imagine this, you get a dirty car coming to you, you've never seen it before. You need to prepare it so you can machine polish it and coat it, etc. Well, you might have 3 or 4, 5 chemicals ready to start that process off. And one of the when we were designing the product to begin with, we were like, well, why do we need 4 or 5 different chemicals? Why can't we do it with one chemical? And we really challenged ourselves to think, well, let's argue this through. And we literally sit in front of a whiteboard and we argue about how a product should work, shouldn't work, can, from a chemistry perspective, can it achieve it, can it not? Is it a foolish idea that we're trying to make one chemical do multiple things? Can you maintain the performance if it's doing multiple things, etc., etc.? So it's we felt that from a business perspective, it's a true process accelerator where you can have one chemical that can do everything very well, if not in some cases best in class, and allow the detailer to replace several chemicals and speed up, that decon, that cleaning process.
Excellent. Obviously, today's launch day for your new products. Tell us, what are they? Tell us about them.
So, Richard, close your ears.
No, yeah, I was going to say, you block your ears, I think, Richard.
So it's fine. So go ahead.
No. So it's a year ago. We knew that we spent a lot of time developing products for the exterior of the car. We knew that we had to start developing products for the interior of the car. And our development cycles, they take years. Now, we're not leather experts. We do a lot of reading about leather, through your website, Richard, and Color Lock and the other brands out there, and through many years of working with leather. Yeah, we've got a good base foundation of what's good, what isn't, but we don't, from a chemistry perspective, we really don't know what makes a good leather cleaner. So the more Roger and I started researching into this, we thought, well, this is actually going to cost us thousands of pounds to develop from scratch. And we could spend a year or 2 years on this, and we could never achieve the heights that your company has achieved, or Color Lock, or any other leather company has achieved. So I didn't know you at the time, Richard, so I apologize. but I approached Color Lock and spoke to Lars and Ram, and I said, look, we're Garage Therapy. This is our company. This is our ethos. This is the values and the design philosophy that we want to bring to create a product. Are you willing to work with us on this? And they said yes, we are. And we gave them a brief, and they came back with the end result that we've got today. And we tested it, of course, but it's something that we're very proud of, in the sense that we've partnered with a leading manufacturer, or one of the leading manufacturers globally in leather care, and they were happy for us to say on the bottle, this has been developed by them for us. And I briefly touched on it. Probably Adam will know this. I did an Instagram live. I think it was yesterday or the day before. We're not here to try and fool anyone. We're not leather experts. We're experts in paint. We're experts in coatings and cleaning, etc., etc. But we're not leather experts. And we wanted to show the professionals and the prosumers and the enthusiasts that we're very serious about what we do. So because we're very serious about what we do and we know our limitations, we're going to go to a company that really does know what they're doing, to help us.
Yeah, that's obviously the wisest choice to do. When you don't know something, it's like me trying to do something that I don't know. It'd be foolish for me to do it, because it's just going to backfire on you, isn't it? So again, you've done the right choice. Congratulations. And I hope it's a massive success. So it's a great add-on line, isn't it, to the rest of the product? So, you've got an interior product now, goes with the exterior. Brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Richard. And it's you never know how these things are going to turn out. You never know what you're going to get. You never know the reaction you're going to get from your clients, or the industry. But touch wood, it's so far so good. And we're not scared to rip something up and restart again. It's only through failure that you realize how you can improve.
You've got to learn from it, haven't you? You learn from failure at the end of the day. So, and it is, if something isn't how you want it, then you do go back to the drawing board and start again. And that is what makes a business successful, isn't it, at the end of the day?
I believe so, yes.
How has your products launch gone today? Has it been a good day for sales?
It's very difficult to gauge, because, and Richard will know this a lot better than us, because he's got a far larger company than ours. But when you're a young company and you release your first product, you think that's a busy period because you get a surge of sales, and then as you grow, you release more products and you get bigger and bigger surges. And then after a while, as you get to a certain size whereby you're always sort of trying to compare the new products you release to previous products you've released, but you forget that, well, 6 to 9 months ago, we weren't anywhere near the size we are now, or have the same amount of clients, or have the same reseller network that we have now. So if I'm honest, we're finding it a little bit difficult to tell, because we do have some amazing resellers who are working with us. We don't keep track of their sales on a day-to-day basis. So for all intensive purposes, yes, it's gone well, but I guess we'll find out in a month or two. as to how well it's really gone.
Like with reordering and stuff like that.
Correct.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one thing I said on the intro that I wanted to touch on, it was a comment that you'd made the other day on, I think it was your GT group, Maz, about discount. And I noticed something you said you wanted to talk about while you're on one of the podcasts. Do you just want to go into that a little bit more? Because of what you put in this comment, I thought was absolutely brilliant. It was a big eye opener to myself. So I'm sure other people are going to want to hear that.
Yeah. So, right, how to frame this so I'm not ranting.
Yeah. Without going too far, man.
Yeah. So I from a business perspective, what I've seen in our industry is this constant race to zero on everything. And one of the questions that we get a lot as a new company is, oh, I like the look of your products, can I have a discount? And the problem with that is that discounts in our industry are creating an environment whereby it's making lives of companies that try and produce premium chemicals and premium solutions to the professionals and the enthusiasts and the general public incredibly difficult, because it just pushes down your margin, not only for us as a company, but to the resellers as well. So this constant drive for more and more discounts, what we've seen from this is that companies, because they're getting squeezed so much, that there's only one thing that's going to, or a couple of things they're going to give. They're either going to stop making the products because they're too expensive and there's no money in it for them to make it, or they're going to find a way to make them cheaper. And as a result of that, we've, we're not going to name names, but we've seen various different companies misbehaving on some of their products, right? And that could be in the form of maybe overcharging for a product. It could be in the form of maybe watering it down. It could be in the form of not getting it appropriately formulated, etc., etc. So discounts, I think, is a fast way in our industry to worsen it. So what I really want to see, not just from the car care brands and the manufacturers, but the resellers also, is effectively using discounts more conservatively to guard the industry from effectively racing to zero and making it a less competitive place. Because really the only people who win in this scenario that we're in is the really big companies who can afford to make smaller margins, because they've got such a big market share that they can still potentially make money, whereas everyone else who's a lot smaller, we just die.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why, and I think I know what you're saying. It's one of the reasons why I think in all the 30 years I've been in business, we've only ever had 50% sales, and that is pushed by members of staff that work for us, and against my better judgment, but we did them. But it's something that we don't do, because to me, I think it devalues the brand, because the brand is selling. You don't need to discount the product. Plus, if you've got a load of stockists on board, and again, with you guys trying to build your brand, it's not right to suddenly start knocking products out, in my opinion, at 50% or 20% off, because all you're going to do is alienate what stockists you've got. And other people are going to think, well, why would I want to come on board? These guys just chuck things out on sale all the time. And it just makes it look, you're trying to push it, so it makes your brand look inferior, in my opinion. And it waters down your brand value. And that's why we don't do it, because we protect our stockists like you guys are wanting to do. And again, applaud you for it, because you should be protecting those guys that are supporting you at the end of the day.
It also comes down to the age-old thing, is that it's been given its own name. It's the DFS effect.
Yep. Yeah.
You would never buy a sofa from DFS outside of a sale. I know they never have not a sale, but you would never buy one outside of a sale.
Yeah.
So why would you ever create a brand point that you have to have a sale in a highest frequency for them people to then buy your items?
Yeah. They're either overpriced in the first place, or there's something wrong, isn't there, if you've got to constantly have a sale? And there's no need. Yes, we do the odd special, on special occasions. Maybe at Christmas time we'll say, you know, like a cleaner and protector set, you can get a sponge and an applicator free or something like that. But we don't go like knocking off 50% or 25%. And people do it constantly with some product ranges. And it's, to me, I don't see the point in doing it because
you're right, Richard. It destroys the brand's image, and the kudos within the industry in other ways. But it also creates a toxic atmosphere where people are thinking they're being ripped off.
Yep.
I mean, I can only speak for us, Garage Therapy, but you know, we don't produce cheap chemicals. Yeah. We invest thousands of pounds, you know, in our chemists to formulate and use the best raw materials that we can get our hands on, and that unfortunately comes at a cost. Mm-hmm. And again, Richard, you're going to know this extremely well, but this notion that companies make really high margins on products is really not true, because once you take into account the development costs, the packaging costs, you know, the distribution costs, you know, running your website, paying your salary, you know, your taxes, paying your employees, etc., you get left with very, very little. And then obviously the resellers want to take their cut because they need to exist as businesses as well. Mm-hmm. And you know, take this year, you know, we've had a massive surge in, all of us in the industry has probably had a massive surge in sales because everyone's been locked up at home. But then plastics and cardboard box prices have doubled almost. Oh, yeah. You know, so for us to send one bottle out, it's costing us 80p per box, or you know, 50 to 80p depending on the type of box we send out at the time. Plus your packaging, you know, the peanuts that go in it, etc. So it's an incredibly competitive and saturated industry, and we think discounts is probably one of the most destructive forces within our industry that I would love to see changed.
I mean, it's like there's been a lot happening this year, hasn't it? I mean, there's one particular product that we buy as a solvent product, and it was like £50 a kilo. It was costing us prior to lockdown. Now that same product costs us nearly £480 a kilo because of a shortage, and that has such a massive effect. It's to the degree where we're physically making a loss to now sell the product, but we don't want to drop it because it's part of our line, you know, and it will hopefully eventually even itself out. And it's things like that where, you know, people don't realize. It's like, you know, you just look at day-to-day running costs, rent and rates for us, you're talking £3,000 a month minimum before we even open our door, you know, and that's just the rent and the rates. And it's, people don't realize there's that side of it to running a business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as we're finding out, as we're building our brand, costs just ramp up. The bigger you grow, the more costs ramp up. And sometimes it doesn't equally increase, you know, in proportion to the company, you know, you get.
It won't. It will get to that point where it doesn't, and then it will even out again and then get better again. And it will get tougher, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. And you've just got to stay strong with that and just keep focusing on that end goal, like you said earlier. And that is the end goal you've got to focus on, because it will get tougher before it gets better. And it did with us, and then eventually it's evening out, and that's exactly how it goes. And it will do that for you guys, but you've just got to stay strong. And there's people around that can help. You know, I'm sure you've got people out there that can act as mentors. There's other people out there. We're here, Adam's here. There's all sorts of people around that you can ask different people for advice, and everybody's here to help. And that's what it's all about, you know. And we're here, you know, we can help. You can inbox, you can ask anything you want whenever. And if I know it, I'll help. If I don't, I'll find out. You know, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess moving on from that question, it's one of the main reasons why Roger and I joined the IDA. Is there's various, we love the industry that we're in. We're incredibly grateful to be a part of it, but we want to make it better, not just for us, but for everyone. And we think that participating in the IDA and PVD as well will help us be able to influence and do that and reach a wider audience with our ideas, I guess, on certain things.
Definitely.
You've got that professional image with the IDA and PVD. It's people start trusting, especially as the name's going to get bigger and bigger. Well, I'm hoping it does with IDA. It's going to grow into something where everyone's aware of it, and then it kind of carries that bit more clout with the brand.
Yeah, definitely.
It's to do with the differentiation between a professional and a I don't want to just say valeter, but an actual professional that's been accredited, or validated in some form or way, and the PVD and both the IDA do that, and then that gives you a little bit more comfort to people that don't know so much about it, or they want to know some more about it. It gives them that level of intrigue to think, oh, okay, so there is something more than just what I've seen, and I think then it just brings everybody up a little bit better and a little bit higher, and I think that's what we kind of genuinely need to do. It's just a shame that we haven't got to the level the IDA has in America, but that's because of the sheer volume and numbers that they have over there, and obviously the years that they've had it. But give it a few years, I'm pretty sure that the IDA will be able to drive forward and have a strong community as it does in America.
I think it will do. It's definitely growing, in a lot of countries. And I think what is stopping that just at this moment in time is just because obviously you've got PBD, which was the first sort of guys there with it. And obviously people have got to get used to there is another organization out there, to sort of drive that professionalism. And I think that's basically all it is that's sort of stopping that. But that's now coming round and more people are coming on board with it, which is good. One question I thought of, which isn't on our list, if you could give someone a piece of advice about starting a business, don't say don't start it, but what
I was going to say, but
what sort of advice could you give somebody that was looking at starting a business, say, in competition with you guys or just doing detailing or something like that? What would you sort of say is, and both of you answer in different sort of ways, what you both feel is that sort of advice that you would give people?
You go first, Maz.
I would say, it's where to start, really. Blimey. I would say that if you're starting a business, there's two things that you've got to have. One, we discussed earlier, is have an aim. So you need to, if you don't plan, you plan to fail effectively. So you have to have a plan. You have to have an aim of what you want to achieve with your company. And the next thing is understand some of the basics of accounting and economics, because you could have all of the best will in the world, especially in our industry, to become the best detailer or become the best car care company or become the best marketing company or whatever that is, right? But if you don't run your business on a firm financial foundation, and principles, then you're almost failed before you've even started.
It's got to have that plan, haven't you, in that sort of journey?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, from my side, I would say, I'd say from one side of it is, don't take everything to heart when you start off, because when you start off and you're unknown, a lot of people will just basically, I wouldn't say naysayers or doubters, but they will approach it and see it as what do you know, that kind of approach. And I think it kind of goes off of what Maz says, is have a plan, have an aim. You look to go, well, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to have. And it's to not start something unless you're really 100 committed to it, because I don't know if we hadn't done what me and Maz had done in the last 3 years, if we hadn't done what we've had to do, Maz has got a family, kids, he had his house, extension done. I've moved into a house, this 100 years old, and had to refurb it myself. Obviously work our careers and work this company, and taking big leaps of faith. If you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to put in 110% and go to bed at 2 a.m. in the morning sometimes, don't start. it's not easy. And if it was easy, then basically everyone would be doing it.
Everybody be doing it. Yeah. No, it's not easy at all. And people don't see the late nights, do they? And it is. I mean, Adam has them as well. As it's not just someone running a chemical company. It's a detailer. When you're starting out, we all have these late nights, and people don't really see that. They just sort of see there's a company, they must be successful, but they don't see the hardship, the heartache, the tears, the blood, the sweat, everything behind it. And that's what keeps you going sometimes, and it keeps you focused, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think, if I'm honest, I don't really like those types of questions. And the reason why I don't like those types of questions is because it's the difference between doing like a univariate analysis and a multivariate analysis, is that there isn't just one thing.
Yeah.
It's multiple things. And you have to be prepared to push yourself in lots of different directions and learn lots of new skills when you're starting a company, because you could be a great salesman, but if you can't add up 2 + 2, then you're going to fail. You can be a great detailer, but if you can't interact with the customer, communicate, you're going to fail. It's not just a simple answer to a complex question.
No. There's a lot to it. You're basically Jack, aren't you? Because you're everything. You're the finance director, you're the marketing director, you're the detailing director. You're everything, aren't you? You're your banking director, you're accountant. You're the whole lot, and you've got to learn all these things. And there is a lot to learn to it. But it's sometimes some people just have that one crucial bit of advice. And I think what you two guys have just said is going to help a lot of people as well. So I mean, it's you may not think it's helpful, but a lot of people out there will listen to what you've said and they will find that really helpful with what you've actually pointed out. So, I mean, again, that's going to help a lot of people. And that's what it's about, and that's what these podcasts are about.
Yeah, I mean, we hope so.
Yeah.
We hope we can help people.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if people wanted to be involved in GT or get to know you guys more, or get in touch with you guys, what's the best way for them?
So we have lots of different social media channels. So we have our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, type in Garage Therapy, you can interact with us on YouTube. We have Instagram, garage.therapy.channel, where you can message us on that platform. We obviously have our website where we have an email address that you can contact us on, and Facebook. Again,
it'd be part of the discussions group that we've got on Facebook as well, obviously.
Yeah, which is one Adam mentioned earlier, wasn't it? So yeah, it's quite good. And
it is a really good group as well. There's lots of activity, and it's not one of these quite stale groups. There's always posts going on.
Yeah, good. I presume, is it the website garagetherapy.co.uk or is it .com or
.co.uk? Yes.
Cool. Yeah, and everybody could go on there and find all the details, contact number, email, and everything that they need to find.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant.
Cool.
Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate both your times coming on, because I know it's been a busy day for you with this product launch. So massive thank you for coming on. One thing I wanted to just touch on quickly just before we wrap things up is this week, I look after the social media pages, and for some reason this week we've had loads of feedback. I just want the listeners and the viewers carry on that feedback. Any feedback for us is brilliant. If as long as it's positive or negative, either way, as long as it actually has some value, don't just say, Adam, get an haircut. I know I need a haircut.
No point telling me to get a haircut.
As long as it's got some value, we're happy to have any feedback. Anywhere we need to improve, please do carry on sending it. It's been great. And it's been really good as well getting to know some of the listeners as well, because there's people I've never talked to and I've had some good conversations this week. So please carry on with that. But overall, thank you so much, Maz and Rodger, for coming on. It's been a really good insight to GT as a brand.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the invitation.
It's okay.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And hopefully everything carries on, wonderfully as it has, and and well done on the launch today. And hopefully everything's a great success for you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Very much. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.